One of the greatest champions that our country or the world ever produced, Jack Dempsey. So let's bring Jack Dempsey out here. Come on, let's hear it. Jack, I am a little disappointed because I thought you were going to, and I asked you to wear your Coast Guard commander uniform.
I know, Ed. I tried, but
can't get into it anymore?
Too bad.
Well, I can understand that. Jack, you know that this is the Navy show, and I was just running over my mind. Did you ever, in the ring, ever meet anybody from the Navy?
Are you kidding, Ed?
No.
Did you ever hear of a man named Gene Tunney?
Yes, I did.
Jack Sharkey?
Yes.
And many more, Tom Sharkey?
That is right.
All great fighters and great champions.
Well, I didn't want to bring the Tunney thing up at all, champion.
Well, what is wrong with that? Gene is one of my very dearest friends.
I know he is.
A wonderful man.
You know, it was so darn nice on the Ralph Edwards show, This Is Your Life, when all of the former opponents of yours were in the ring with you. Firpo, Carpentier, and the graciousness that you extended to all of them was very, very refreshing. We got a terrific kick out of it.
Thank you, Ed.
Jack, I've been reading, just finished reading, a tremendous book here. It's The Life and Gaudy Times of Tex Rickard, and on the title sheet here he's called The Magnificent Rube. Charles Samuels wrote it, and I think he's turned out here one of the finest stories of the ring, you know, of the entire period covered by Tex Rickard's promotion I've ever read.
Well, I've read the book, Ed, and I think it's terrific. I think he did a terrific job
really
on
has.
a man that I loved, admired, who was a great pal of mine, Tex Rickard.
Well, the book brought to mind some questions. I was talking with Ned Brown before, and the book brought to mind some questions that I'd like to ask you as a former sports writer, and I think the country would get a kick out of it.
Sure, Ed. Go right ahead.
In the first place, Jack, in what fight would you feel that you delivered the hardest single punch you ever let go of?
Well, I think the best punch I ever let go was the afternoon that I fought Jess Willard, July 4th, 1919, Toledo, Ohio. Big Jess led with me, the left hand, I ducked it, and I put a right cross under his heart, and I think that was one of the most terrific punches that I ever struck. In other words, that punch really won me the title.
Really started him on the way out.
That's right.
It's funny, I would have thought that you were going to say a left hook, because all of us always figured that your left hook was your terrific lethal weapon, and the right...
Well, it was, Ed, but at the same time I had a chance to put that right cross in that really did the work.
What did you weigh that day?
180 pounds.
180 pounds? Now what are you, about 185?
Well, I wish I were. About 230.
Oh, well, you look wonderful, Jack. Now, that's the hardest punch you ever delivered. What would you say was the hardest single punch that was landed on you by any of your opponents?
Well, I've been hit so many times, so often I don't know which one would be the hardest, but I would say the night that I fought Louis Angel Firpo. In the first round, you saw the fight, if you remember. After that first punch I got hit, I didn't know whether I was in a fight or a foot race.
That was a tremendous... well, I think you could have blamed another. Wasn't Benny Leonard in the Coast Guard later?
Well, Benny was the man at that time who was teaching Firpo how to lick Jack Dempsey. Another good friend of mine, but he shouldn't have done that to me.
Well, I remember because I saw them up in training, you know, and Benny Leonard said, when the bell rings, he said, that Dempsey will come right straight at you, and he says, all you have to do, he said, he's coming across the ring this way, he said, you go 1, 2, he says, Dempsey swings with the left hook, and then you nail him with the right hand. When I saw it in rehearsal, I didn't think it could happen.
It did.
But it did happen. Now, Jack, you know, Tex Rickard and I weren't naturally as friendly as I didn't know him as long as you did and wasn't quite as friendly, but we played a lot of golf together, and Tex was a great enthusiast about golf. He could hit a golf ball pretty well a drive, and he loved it. And Rickard told me one day, coming back from the golf course, that on one occasion he asked you to pull off a fighter. That is, take it easy with a fighter. Would you?
That's right.
Would you feel free to discuss it?
Certainly will. The afternoon that I fought Georges Carpentier in Jersey City, the first $1 million gate, incidentally, Tex came to me and he said, Jack, he said, looks like the ring's going to fall down, and he says, the crowd is mad, but he said, this fellow, you're liable to kill him if you really hit him. He said, I don't want you to kill him. He says, knock him out, but he says, give the people just a little show. Well, the first round I did ease up a little. I didn't try to kill him, as Mr. Rickard suggested. But the second round I got hit. And I wish he hadn't have told me that, because I thought the title was going right back to France.
Where did Carpentier hit you with that punch?
Well, unfortunately for him, he hit me on the cheekbone. If he'd hit me on the chin, I'd have been knocked out.
Well, then he really could hit as hard as they said he could.
He was a much better fighter than the public thought he was. He was a terrific fighter and a great puncher.
Jack, you know what I think might be nice? Today is Mother's Day. I think they'd get a great kick if you'd give some advice to their young sons, what would you tell to a youngster starting out?
Well, Eddie, I'm not too good on giving advice, but I'd like to tell you what my mother told me. My mother told me there was no shortcuts in sport or anything. To believe in God, live clean, and work hard. If you do that, eventually you've got to get to the top. And the more I think about that, the more I know she was right.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have just heard Jack Dempsey, one of the greatest champions we've ever produced for the world. You've heard him talk, you've seen his modesty expressed. How about a tremendous hand for a tremendous guy?